Hi everyone, Ryan Miles here to talk about Force of Will. I'm going to be going over my match in the final round of Swiss from ARG Road to Orlando. I'm playing Turbo Fiethsing with Captain Hook, and Matt Kane is my opponent. He's playing Mikage. Both the lists are available online. I'll make sure to put them in the description below. We're going to get right into it. So I open with Apollo, Rulers of Moria, and Rook Egg. I actually go first in this matchup. I'm pretty sure I won the die roll. I think it's always correct to go first. He energizes to kill my token, and obviously, sorry, I'm trying to play him. He gets a blood counter. Let me see. Alright, cool, you can see my mouse. So he calls a stone. So he is black-red. Usually, if I see black-red, that means he's black-red-blue. So I don't have to worry about like green shit. He Namelessness. I have the combo in my hand. I don't have any 5-drops, but he chooses to get the castling instead of the Apollo, which is generally correct if I do manage to see a Gwyber. It would be very bad for him because the win condition of this deck, like an auto win, right, is castling into Hook, and then he just loses the game on the spot. My hand is pretty bad, from what I can tell. I don't know. I'm trying to remember right now. So it looks like I drew another Rook Egg. So I'm debating on whether or not I want to energize here. I mean, not energize, whether or not I want to produce a token. I kind of do just to keep him spending mana to kill my tokens. And once I draw an Atom Brawley, I can kind of go off with his hand. So he's going to call a stone. And yeah, black, red, blue, or like there's everything. It's possible he's playing a black-green stone, the information that I have. Just because Mikage players sometimes tend to do that because they like to play Wind Secluded Refuge, Heavenly Gust, maybe even Seal Up Wind and Light. But I'm just going off what I know right now. So he passes. He wants to try and probably ping Demon Flame with Gwyber if I happen to draw it. He knows my hand, so he's expecting me to draw Atom Brawley, and that's when I would really go off. So I just drop a Guinevere here, and that's really what I needed to turn this hand live. I'll be able to do a lot with this Guinevere if it sticks. So, but he has a Demon Flame for the Guinevere. I'm going to try to Apollo back to my hand. So my hand right now is Captain Hook and Guinevere. And yeah, he managed to deal with that pretty efficiently. So he casts a Lapis Storm, and that's going to hit both the Captain Hook and the Guinevere out of my hand. And the reason I decide to scoop it up right there is because I really want to try and have enough time to win the next two games. Like, I'm not completely out of that game, although it's very, very close to being out of that game. I think we've like 1-for-1 3 times, and I've still got Rook Eggs that will be able to give me options, especially because I will get Guinevere's and maybe come back into it. But really, I just want to have enough time to play games 2 and 3, and my percent chance of winning that game at that point is something like 20%. Like, it's not very high. It's possible, but I don't want to. I would rather have more time in games 2 and 3. So we go ahead and go to the sideboard. I guess like I'll talk about it while the sideboard's going on. Earlier in the day, I had played against my brother. He is also playing Mikage, and our game 1 took about 40 minutes. And there were a couple of points where I probably could have conceded, but I wanted to keep trying to fight through it. I ended up losing game 1 in the end, and then I won game 2 pretty quickly, so we didn't get to play game 3. And I just felt like I didn't want to end up in that kind of situation again. I know that post-board, once I bring in Shackles of Ice, it gets a lot better for me. So I'd rather play a lot of game 2 and 3 and much less game 1. So I'm just going to try and skip ahead to when the cards start flying, actually. I lost, so I chose to go first. And we're doing mulligans here. Can't really see my hand right now, but this is going to be a bit more like how the matchup actually breaks down. And it's largely dependent on Shackles of Ice as well. So Regalia, Call Stone, Guinevere. Awesome. That's a pretty good opening. I'm going to be able to draw some cards from that. But yeah, he energizes to ping the token because he knows that that's not allowed. Artemis Bow is pretty decent. Going to be able to use Bear Magic to keep off my 12/12s. And we see a Rulers of Moria as his first stone. So that's good. And he's going to go ahead and pass. So I am going to be able to get to use this Guinevere eventually. He didn't have an Unseen Pressure, which is excellent. Well, my stones are booty, but we do have blue now, which enables Scout. The only thing I can't play is Tama. Looking at my hand, I don't think I have a Tama, so it's not a big deal. So we are going to play a Scout. Not really much he's going to do about that, because why would you want to kill a Scout? Leviton's going to produce token. We'll see. He's probably going to ping the token because I am threatening Gwyber. I feel like he has to. Yeah, and then this I just get to create free cards with Guinevere. And like he has to make that play, because if he doesn't, then I get to just Wyvern for free. So I get to turn his mana into 2 cards for me. And then the question is like, do I have another Guinevere or Rookeg as a 1-drop? There's some logic to cracking the Apollo to get the Guinevere back to replay it, so that I can use it next turn on the scout. It really depends what my hand is. And in general, I want to make him waste a removal spell before I crack my Apollo, so there's logic to not going that way. Alright. I'm going to tap Leotin for basically no reason, and untap everything. Cool. So now what are we looking at? Turn 3 is Fiethsing's most powerful turn. This is where I'm really going to go off a lot. Okay, it looks like my hand isn't looking too fresh. I do see the Adam Raleigh. It looks like I don't have enough 1-drops to trigger the Torrent, so that's why I'm digging to try and get things back. I don't have enough cards in graveyard yet to get Death Scythe back, so what's my option? Looks like I do have the Shackles. I think I see 2 Adam Raleigh, a Rookeg, a Captain Hook. So Rookeg's gonna trigger my Torrent. Yeah, double Adam Raleigh. Adam Raleigh is much less valuable in this matchup because of how often they ping off your token. Alright, that's going to be my first card for the turn, so there's nothing you can do about it, and that's going to allow me to probably play a Guiber. If I recall, I saw a Rookeg in there, so really all I need is just 1-drop, and then I'll get the token, and then I'll get the Guiber, and I'll be able to start putting down pressure, and especially through Shackles, it's very difficult for Mikage to deal with that. Sorry, I'm scratching my eyes. Yep, looks like I'm going to actually play Guinevere, and he's going to Demon Flame that while the token's on the chase, and the reasoning for that is he doesn't want me to be able to Guiber, because that would be one of my 2 Resonators that come out. So heads up play by Matt. This is going to prevent the Guiber, and I can't really see what's in my hand. I have a Death Scythe still, so I can get that back if I need to. I wonder if I just would play the Guinevere here. I think that's probably correct. Excuse me, sorry. And yeah, looks like Guinevere's going to come down. So this is really just going to help me run away with card advantage for the foreseeable future. He can't stop my tokens. He can, kill the Shackles, but that's almost going to not do enough at this point. Just strictly because he has to waste some mana to do it, and all of his mana is incredibly important at this point in the game. He has to constantly use it to kill Guinevere's, has to constantly use it to kill Guinevere's. And he also has to use it to kill Shackles, so it's there's just so much being restricted on his resources right now. And actually, because I have a token, I'll just wait until it actually plays out, because I think I do what I'm thinking. So he's trying to, yeah, see, so he does have the Fairy of Sacred Vision, so he's going to be able to kill the Shackles almost immediately. But he only has 2 mana open to really interact with my board and whatever I'm going to be doing this turn. And he doesn't choose to set anything, so this tells me that he actually cannot stop a Captain Hook, because you can cast Prison in the Lunar Lake for 3 mana from hand, but he only has 2 mana open. He didn't choose to set it, so he probably doesn't even have it, but it's something I don't have to think about, which is nice. So we go untap. And the important thing here is I choose not to attribute my token for Guinevere. I could draw more cards, but I'm setting up for an Adam Raleigh Captain Hook play, and I don't think there's any way that Matt can stop it. So yeah, I'm even going to attribute to Guinevere just so that I can have enough mana open to be able to make this play. So I sacking red and green. Red means I get to shoot something. I'll arbitrarily shoot that for absolutely no reason. And there comes the Captain Hook. Using the mana that I produce off of Adam Raleigh, I'm able to just hardcast Captain Hook on turn 4, and he's going to shoot the Shackles. And because he wants to ping Demon Flame, is what I believe is going on, if I remember correctly. He obviously doesn't want the Captain Hook to stay on the field, and this is going to be his only opportunity to kill it before he loses all of his stones. So. So right now I'm thinking about whether or not I want to hit his Ruler's Memoria, or if I want to hit the Blackstone, because I can tuck the Blackstone to the bottom, putting Ruler's Memoria on top, and then it'll lock him off of Melder for a few turns. But looking at the board state, I don't think that's actually going to end up being relevant, so I want to keep him off of as many colors as possible, so I put both Ruler's Memoria back. He pinged Demon Flames the Captain Hook, and then I respond by tributing it to Guinevere, again making me draw more cards. And I actually misplayed here. I have a Death Scythe in the graveyard, and I drew cards before I got it back, so that makes my decision harder than it should have been, because I just wasn't thinking, because there was a lot going on. And don't do that. Always think. Be slow. Take your time on plays. Let's see what I end up discarding based on this misplay, because I'm going to lose a very valuable card. Looks like my hand is Apollo, Gwyber, Adam Brawley, Rook Egg, and yeah, the Adam Brawley is going to go. And the reason the Adam Brawley is the least valuable card there is because he can ping off. He killed my shackles. He can ping off my tokens. Adam Brawley is much less valuable when you're not able to tribute tokens for it. And with Apollo, Rook Egg, Gwyber, I'm really just one drop away from being able to cast multiple Gwybers. And I have a Guinevere to draw cards to see more 1-drops, even if he pings my token. So that was kind of the logic behind the line there. No J activation here is going to call on stone. Go to combat first. I'm going to attempt to make him spend his mana so that, like, if he's going to interact with the Adam Brawley, I'd rather have him do that than like interact with me setting up my board. So I'm going to force him to do this now and make him have less mana to interact with the rest of my options. So this is the first time life has changed in these games, but he's going to just Bear Magic Bow, so nothing's going to happen. And I'm going to actually sack it to Guinevere here to get more card advantage. This time I won't forget the Death Scythe. And I'm not sure how many cards are in Matt's hand, but this is obviously looking like it's going to be very favorable for me. He's kind of hanging in there, you know, doing whatever he can to just keep clearing my stuff. But the game's about to break right open, and yeah, I've got like double Gwyber, double Tama. Yeah, those are all coming down this turn. There's not a lot he can, and I have an Apollo to protect the Guinevere still, so not many options available for Matt anymore. And it's important to remember that this wasn't even a game where I castle hooked. I actually just like hard casted on turn 4. And the Shackles was only alive for 1 turn, but that was long enough to like let me keep the token alive and then be able to cast it. Here I fuck up my Tama, and then I forget to draw a card, but he's like, oh, you forgot to draw. I'm like, oops, I'm a retard. Cool. So he's going to ping the token because he doesn't want to get Gwybered, obviously. I think I have another 1-drop. What is this shit? Okay, I was just tapping the wrong stone like a doofus. So there's a Rook Egg, that's 2 Resonators, and then, yeah, let's have some fun times. I'm wondering. Oh, so I think here I'm thinking about whether or not I want to Adam Brawley and get a Drake. I'm trying to think. I believe I've already had 2 Resonators die this turn. I sacked the Adam Brawley for Captain Hook, and I had the token die because he pinged it. So Adam Brawleying over the Rook Egg would allow me to search Drake, and I could play Drake for 1 mana. So first things first, I'm just going to start throwing down Gwybers. And I have 1 mana open, and this is where, yeah. So I'm going to Adam Brawley over these. And the reason that I'm like aggressively doing this is because it's just the most powerful board state. He's only on 2 stones. Like, he doesn't have a lot of options to be able to deal with multiple Gwybers, and like I'm like practically threatening lethal with this. Like, he can Bear Magic Bow one of them. This is like, depending on what he has on his turn, he'll have 3 mana. He can ping Demon Flame. So he can ping Demon Flame and Bear Magic Bow, and that'll kill 3 guys for 3 mana. So he still has options to deal with this. So I just want him to use as many resources as possible so that basically my Guinevere is going to be protected this turn, right? By throwing out as many guys as possible. He has to answer the 12-12s, which means that he can't answer the Guinevere, which means I'm going to be able to refill, and he's going to have to keep dealing with more and more and more and more 12-12s. And I'm just not going to run out of steam. So I wonder if he's going to take a proactive play. I sincerely doubt it. Yeah, he's just going to pass. Looking at his hand now, it looks like Space-Time, Riza, Heavenly Gust, and Eternal Recurrence. So Eternal Recurrence would be insane here, but the Captain Hook has kept him off of 5 stones, and there's just not a lot he can do with that. Alright. So I know there's a Bear Magic. So again, I'm going to go to combat first, try and make him use as many resources as possible before I start really doing a lot. So he Bear Magics, Goes to bow in response to that. Eat my Glaber. It's gonna die anyway. I don't really need to Apollo it back here. Because the Apollo is going to be most useful on the Guinevere. Guinevere is like the most important aspect of this matchup. Like you only play 4 Guinevere, but you play 6 or 7 dragons. I only play 6, but most people play 7, even 8. And I've already got enough 12/12s that a Guiber and a Drago will win me the game. I don't need to like save the Guiber, so that's why I hold on to the Apollo. He takes 12. I think that's first damage, and then he takes 12. Yeah, he doesn't have anything to do with the 2 mana. He does not have a Demon Flame because he used a lot of Demon Flames. I think he already has 2 Demon Flames in graveyard, so that's why. So I'll call some. He's at. I guess I could have J activated there. Oh no, he has Death Scythe. My bad. Hit him for 6. So he's taken 24 plus 6. That should put him down to 1,000. Thomas is going to draw me a card. We'll play Death Scythe. That'll get me a token. And yeah, 5 mana Captain Hook. That's going to put his Ruler's Memoria back on the top of the deck. Yeah, so there's nothing he can do there. And literally that game, I just hard cast Captain Hook twice and also apply a lot of pressure with 12/12s. That's kind of what. That was just like a very good sequence of plays. Like not like good as in like hard to find, but like good as in just like that's exactly what I want to be doing in this matchup when I go first, is using that extra tempo lead to drop hooks before he can really handle them. So we're going to go ahead and go on to game 3, if I can find it. I don't think I changed anything up. Oh, I changed. So in game 2, I sided in Heavenly Gust to be able to deal with his Artemis pose. In this game, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be going second, I take out the Heavenly Gust and I sided out a Tama to put in Heavenly Gust. So I put the Tama back in just so that I can have a better chance of turn 1 Gliber because I have the Energize. And in general, Tama is very important to have in your deck when you do have the coin. It's almost irrelevant when you don't have the coin. Like it could just be a Messenger Familiar if you could, but yeah. Alright, so nothing surprising here. He's got a Hydranalka and a Rose Moria. So I open with Apollo again. That is my most play the most copies of Hydro of Apollo than any other Regalia, so it's quite likely that I will open it. He pings a token that prevents me from casting Atom Brawly over the Rook Egg and token to search Guinevere and then use the floating mana to play Guinevere. So heads up play there. We're gonna Scorn. I do not have an Atom Brawly though, but I remember at this point in the game, Matt makes a comment about how my hand is a hot ass, and it kind of is. So, alright. He's going to hit the Gliber, so my hand is going to be Rook Egg, Death Scythe, Death Scythe. Definitely not a position I want to be in. Very reminiscent of Game 1. And if you remember Game 1, I lost in about 5 minutes, or I conceded in about 5 minutes. So this is Game 3. I'm definitely not going to concede that early this time. We'll see. So I do find the Tama off the top, which is pretty useful. I'm going to go ahead and energize that, just so that I can see what I draw, and I can have more options available with my plays. There's also the option for me to Tama shoot my Rook Egg to search for a Guinevere if I want to, which is one of the reasons I usually energize there, just to see what I can get. So that's going to be a token. I am threatening Gliber, no matter what. Even if he kills a token, I'm still threatening Gliber, so there's this logic in not killing it. He's probably saving the Demon Flame to kill the Guinevere if I do have it. So Atom Brawly came off the top of the Tama. It's a very fortunate draw there. Gonna go ahead and search out the Guinevere using the Rook Egg, and that's going to start enabling me. It's going to enable me to, kind of come into the game. Guinevere is the most important card in the matchup. Always having Guinevere will allow me to draw more cards than Mikage can deal with, because all of Mikage's answers are 1-for-1. They don't really have any actual card draw or card generation. So if I'm able to weather the storm through all their resources and then just like start putting on even more pressure than they can handle, they really rely on stealth creatures to come back into the game. So we'll see what Matt ends up doing here. So I do play the Guinevere using the floating mana from the Atom Brawly. That's why I didn't see me tap a stone. And Matt Kane is taking the response. Alright, so I'm going to have Thomas shoot my own Rook Egg here. and I'm going to get Drake. And the reason I'm doing this is because, yeah, so I'm going to play the Drake. We're kind of rushing through things here. So he's unseen pressuring my Guinevere. I'm going to bounce back to my hand with Apollo. I've had 4 Resonators out of this turn, so I want to play this 12-12. And the reason I aggressively went for the 12-12 is because I know that if he's going to answer the Guinevere, I want him to also not be able to answer the Drake very easily. But he had the unseen pressure, so he can easily ping Demon Flame here. We draw into an Apollo, so while the Apollo's on the chase, he's going to ping Demon Flame the Drake, which is various heads up, because that means I can't Apollo the Drake back. Call Stone. No Ruler's Memorial for me yet, so I'm locked out of Green, which is only Tama, so it's not that big of a deal. I do get in for 6. I'm going to attempt to cast Guinevere. It does have 1 mana available, so that could be another unseen pressure. Jesus fucking Christ, Matt Kane. Alright, so I'm going to Apollo that one back as well. Really, really, really important that I keep my Guineveres alive, and that I'm able to draw as many cards as possible. That King calls to a 4 stone, so this means that Rizas are going to be live. And if he just double Rizas here, it's very likely that he wins the game on the spot. But he does not have them. He cannot have double Unseen Pressure and double Riza, thankfully for me. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what I got. I think he's down to like 3 cards in hand, if I recall correctly. He's been playing a lot of 1-for-1s. I go to attack, he Bear Magic, Space Times, wow. So that's 3 mana just to kill my Adam Brawley, and we're going to see if I can get any mileage off of that. I do have a Guinevere still in hand. First things first, getting that 100 damage, very important. It's very little, so he chooses not to ping, obviously, because he wants to ping whatever token comes out this turn, try and stop the Guivers. So Death Scythe, I've been holding 2 Death Scythe all fucking game because he scorned. We already knew this. Let's see what we got. There's a Guinevere that's going to produce a token. We'll see if he wants to ping it. That will prevent exactly 1 Guiver from coming down. Looks like both my stones are red-blue, so we'll see what happens. Yep, he is going to ping it. So that's 2 Resonators that died this turn. So we're just going to play Drake for 3 mana. It was the Adam Brawley and the token that died this turn. So Drake for 3 and pass. Not a very strong turn. It looks like I have 2 cards in hand. Maybe even just 1. But the most, yeah, it's 1 card in hand. So the most important thing here is that I finally managed to get a Guinevere to stay on the board. Looks like Matt Kane has 3 cards in hand. That's a Riza. And a Demon Flame. Not sure what the second card is. So I've got 1 card in hand. He's got 2 cards in hand. We're both getting down to a very low number of cards. And generally when we both have a low number of cards, this is when Mikage will pull ahead, but Guinevere is going to help me come back into this. And yeah, Death Scythe. There's a second Death Scythe that I've been holding literally all game. That was my 1 card in hand. I forgot that I hadn't discarded yet because my fucking Guinevere has never stuck. So he's going to go ahead and kill the Drake on my turn, and it's important to kill the Drake on my turn. Kill the Drake on his turn. It's important to kill Drake on his turn and not on my turn because it would discount the cost of my Drake, and also he doesn't want me to Guinevere obnoxiously. Or I guess maybe he did that before my untap. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. I think he did it after I tributed the token for Guinevere and before I untapped, and he wanted to do it so that I couldn't Guinevere again. So that was my mistake. So we do the Shackles. Is one of the 2 cards I drew. That's a pretty good sequence of draws. Adam Brawley over the Scout is going to draw me 2 more cards. And we're going to produce a mana based on what I have in my hand. Looks like I'm not showing it to the cameras with it. So Matt Kane is down to 1 card in hand, and now I'm back up to 2 cards. And he doesn't really have an easy way to kill this Guinevere. Apparently, I'm going to do it for him. I'm pretty sure my hand is like, I think I drew double Guinevere off of the Adam Brawley or something like that, something silly. So we're going to draw 2. And yeah, discard Death Scythe. Looks like my hand is Captain Hook, Shackles, Guinevere. That's what I think I saw. So I can't do anything to get Hook out this turn. It's definitely something I'm thinking about next turn. Because I Adam Brawled and he didn't prison in the Lunar Lake, I should be predicting that it's not prison in the Lunar Lake. But it's also possible that he's holding it for the Captain Hook, since Captain Hook is almost the only way that I really compete at this point in the game, in this matchup. So yeah, I did have double Guinevere, which leaves my hand as Captain Hook and Shackles. I don't know what I'm doing with that mana. Oh, I was thinking about casting Shackles, because when I saw in Game 2, he played a Fairy of Sacred Vision. So I'm not sure if he plays Heavenly Gust, so I would want to play 2 Shackles at one time. But I think the downside just isn't worth it, so I'm going to hold the Shackles in my hand. Just because if he does play Heavenly Gust, he does have it live on the 2 rows of Moria. And I don't want that to kill the Shackles. That would be very, very bad for me. So he flips the Stealth guy, it is a Riza, and now he gets to pick any freaking Stealth card in his deck. This could be Riza, this could be Melder, this could be Flame Trap, this could be Prison in the Lunar Lake. It could even be a second Riza in the anticipation that his current Riza is going to die, and he wants to be able to put himself at a low enough life total to flip Melders. So really, it could be anything at this point, and I have to play around every possible option. So we're going to go to his turn. He's going to go up to 6 stones. Not a place that I want Mikage to be at. In this kind of situation, if I wasn't playing a hook variant, I would basically lose the game. It's incredibly, incredibly difficult to deal with Mikage as they start getting more and more stones out. You really just... They can just, like, ping down your Guinevere for 4 mana. And there's just so many things that they can do with a lot of mana. So things are looking grim. But again, if I can resolve like a Captain Hook or maybe even 2 Captain Hook, then I can easily come back into the game just because I still have Guinevere's, I'll still draw a lot of cards, I'll still be able to apply a lot of pressure. So he's got 2 cards in hand, 1 set card that I believe is either a Prison or a Flame Trap, but could actually be anything, and a Hydronomica on the board, which could get him anything. And I believe he still has a Space-Time Engrave. I don't think there are any Bear Magics. So we'll draw for turn. Got 2 men open. I don't really play anything instant speed, so I guess right here I'm thinking about cracking a Guinevere just to see more cards. Ow. Sorry. And I decide not to, just because I want to try and keep these Guineveres alive as much as possible. And call stone. Okay. I've only got 1 Rose Memory. So we're going to tap 5 and just cast the Captain Hook. And I could play around Flame Trap here by having a Guinevere eat herself before playing this Captain Hook. But if this ends up being a Prison in the Lunar Lake, I want to... It's much more important that my Guineveres are both alive. Just because I'm going to need them to try and draw more Captain Hooks and stuff like that. So I choose not to play around Flame Trap on purpose, just so that... in the worst case scenario of it actually being Prison in the Lunar Lake, my Guinevere is still able to get more value out of them. Because the game is going to be very hard for me if it is a Prison. And so what Matt does in response is he cracks Hydronomica while the Captain Hook is on the chase. And at this point I'm like, what the hell is he searching? He still has a Space Summon Graveyard. So I think he's going to probably Space Summon Guinevere and then get the card off the top. It's only going to leave him at 2 mana. So this could be Hydro Space-Time Seal, but Matt Kane told me that he doesn't play Seal, and in general it's kind of difficult for Mikage decks to play Seal anyway. Seal would obviously be very, very good for him here, but he just doesn't play it. So he grabs a card, it's going to put it on top. And yeah, if this is Prison, then I'm just going to sack it to Guinevere, draw 2 cards, and then try and find more options. And just try and like get into more hooks so I can hook him again next turn, or at least try to. Alright, so we grab a card, put it on top. So now hook resolves. I think I just choose to target 2 Rose Memoria, and then he responds. You can just kind of keep watching as I talk about this. I do have 1 man open, so he kind of does have to think about the idea that I could castling this hook into another hook if I have those cards. That's definitely something that's a little spooky. Yeah, Yeah, if he played Seal, this would have been a lot better for him, but he does not. So yeah, hook resolves. I target 2 rulers on Moria. Okay. He. Excuse me. So he responds to hook targeting the rulers and Morias by casting Space Time from graveyard, and he targets Captain Hook here. So hook is a 5/5, and basically that tells me I'm either thinking that he put a Space Time on top or he has a Flame Trap. So he does have the Flame Trap. Flame Trap is now going to be a complete board wipe. And he's going to... I'm thinking about having whatever here. So he says he's going to hold priority, and he's going to cast Heavenly Gust to kill my Shackles on my death side. So Heavenly Gust resolves. Now Flame Trap is on the chase. I'm going to respond with Guinevere's ability. Guinevere is going to sacrifice herself. I'll chase to Guinevere's ability with Death Scythe. One of them, anyway. Death Scythe is going to come back to my hand. Going to remove 3 cards. Draw 2, discard Death Scythe. It looks like Matt Kane now has 2 cards in hand, and I'm about to have like 7 cards in hand. So we're going to see what I can accomplish with 7 mana and no cards on field to his 2 cards, 4 mana. And this is where it starts becoming very difficult for Mikage to deal, right? Because I'm just going to be able to dump my entire hand onto the field because like everything in my deck costs 1 mana, and he's running out of resources to be able to answer. His main thing here is hopefully seeing another Riza and trying to like get off like some Melder combos, or just like seeing multiple Melders. Maybe flipping Mikage. He does play Eternal Recurrence in his list. I think he might have sided it out for this matchup just because Captain Hook does come down on turn 5, and like it's very unreliable to be able to get to 5 stones against Captain Hook. So it's still my turn after all that nonsense, right? So I do play my second Shackles from hand for the 1 mana, and because it's the second card I play this turn, I'm going to Torrent for a token. So I'll pass turn. I don't need to play any Regalia here, even though I have them, because I'm not calling a stone. But I do decide that since it's a reasonable enough option for me to J-activate next turn, since I already have 6 mana, I'll play it anyway. What I don't realize is that I don't have double green source, and I actually realized that next turn. I'm like, oh, okay, it didn't matter. But I play Leviathan just so that I could maybe get in more damage if I did decide to J-activate. But I can't, so it doesn't matter. So Matt Kane's going to go ahead and draw an Arden's Bow. Going to go ahead and call a stone. Looking at 5 mana, which is Eternal Recurrence mana, if he does have it, but we'll see what he goes for. It looks like there's a Melder in his hand. He chooses not to set it because he's still over 1,000 life, and there's really no way that I put him below it on next turn. Because none of the creatures in my deck have swiftness, and because I don't have the mana to J-activate into Fiethsing, there's actually no possible way that I put him below 23, which is his current life total. So there's no way I put him below 2,000, no reason to set Melder, etc., etc. And I think he has Space Time in hand as well, so holding mana open for double Space Time is more important than setting Melder at this point. But maybe it wasn't even Melder in hand. It was kind of hard for me to see. Alright, so this is where I look at my stones and realize that I'm an idiot. I want to check his graveyard to see if we got any Bear Magic or Space Time. There is 1 Bear Magic, but no Space Time. At least that's what I think I saw. Maybe I'm a doofus, I don't know. So my hand is Castling, Wyber, Adam Brawley, Tama, Leviathan. No Captain Hook, unfortunately. Captain Hook would be kind of a blowout here. Unless he does have a prison in hand. I don't think he does, but alright, so Adam Brawley, Tama, Gwyber, Leviathan, and Castling. So I would love, absolutely love, to draw into a Captain Hook. So I'm thinking about how many ways I can get as many draws as possible. It's going to start with Tama. Sorry. Mostly I'm just thinking about what I could draw and then like what he could do about it. Typically, like you'll see me play. This is like a side while I'm sitting here thinking. I kind of play like Hearthstone style. Usually I'll look at my hand and I'll think about every possible option that my opponent could have. And then once I start making plays, they all kind of come down kind of fast. Because no matter what you do, I've usually already thought through that possibility and then like what my next line was going to be after that. So that's why you just saw me sat there and think for like a minute and a half. But now we're going to go ahead and play Tama. And then that draws me into, come on Ryan, put your cards in front of the screen. Looks like it was the Guinevere. That's going to be my 4th Guinevere. So that makes things pretty interesting. Castling. I don't think there's any way. There's some logic to casting Adam Brawley. Not right now, but like in general. Just to put more pressure on the board, even though I'm not getting anything out of it right now. But really what I'm looking for is trying to I think I might want to castling over the Tama into the Guinevere and then draw a Captain Hook, or have the option to draw Captain Hook, right? So if I castling the Tama goes in the bottom of the deck, I bring out a Guinevere, and then I get to draw a card at the end of that, and that lets me dig. And like, is that card draw going to be worth it? Getting rid of this castling, because I do have 6 mana available, so I could castling and then I could cast Captain Hook, and that would put me in a very favorable position. There's also a lot of other draws that I'm thinking about, like, okay, what if I draw a Rook Egg? What if I draw, a Drake? What if I draw an Adam Brawley? Like, this is kind of like what my thought process is, and why, like, my hand looks like there's no options, but like castling Tama into Guinevere like has a lot of potential upside, which is where my thought process was going. Strictly because that card draw could make this hand turn incredibly live, but I don't think we're going to go with that line. It just seems really inefficient. Part of the reason of this is like my turn is looking very weak if I don't do that, because I'm going to end up like not spending like 4 mana with this play, which is pretty underwhelming. And then also thinking about what he could possibly have, like there is a reasonable assumption that he could just have a Prison in the Lunar Lake in his hand and doesn't want to set it just to like be able to hard cast it for 3 mana. There's a lot of options he could have too. So I just played all my shit. He's thinking about what he wants to do. He's going to go ahead and space time the Guinevere at the end of the turn. Basically nothing I can do about that, so I'm going to let it resolve. But I don't want him to know that I have nothing to do about that, so I'm going to think about it for a hot second. And then he's going to use the Water Magic from his graveyard and make sure to kill the Quiver right now before anything else happens. So he successfully took care of both of the threats I played this turn. My hand is now Alice's Castling, Adam Brawley, and I think that's it, right? It's only 2 cards. But I do have the mana to be able to J-activate now, which is important. And my opponent's at 23, so that starts looking very, very ferocious very quickly. Especially with Leviathan, I just have a lot of potential damage. Oh, my other card in hand is Leviathan. I have another Leviathan in hand, and I decided not to play it because I could produce red mana. If he Heavenly Gusts me again, I still want to have Leviathan. A lot of reasons that I would want to hold a Leviathan in my hand. So my 3-card hand is Shackles, Adam Brawley, Leviathan. Another Artemis Bow is exactly what I don't want to see, because now double Artemis Bow threatens to kill Fiethsing, which is very annoying. So I'm going to tap the Leviathan for 1 taps. And yeah, my win condition right now is definitely looking like it's going to be Fiethsing. He's already gone through 2 space times, so she's relatively safe. The Artemis Bows are definitely like the most annoying part of this, but I will be able to keep torrenting out multiple tokens in a turn, which can become very hard for Mikage to deal with if they're not packing. Like, you would have to see a second Flame Trap, or you would have to actually play Eternal Recurrence. Like, these are the kind of things that I think I'm worried about, but I'm really like running out of options in terms of what my lines of play are. So we're going to get back a Death Scythe. And we're going to get back Death Scythe because I want to play it, and that will buff Fiethsing to be a 10-10 instead of a 12-12, which will beat double Artemis Bow. So I get back Death Scythe. Go ahead and show him that. Looks like I drew an Apollo, so my hand is Apollo, Leviathan, Adam Brawley, Castling. So Death Scythe comes down. We're going to go ahead and use these rulers one more now, and we're going to J-activate. I think we are. Pretty sure we are. I guess I'm just thinking with stones I want to leave untapped. Like, obviously I can't use the white mana, but there's maybe a reason to pretend that I can. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to play Fiethsing. Okay. And she's, yeah, the 2 is for the fact that I've had to lay within this turn. So, what do I have? Looks like I drew, yeah, I forgot. So we have the Apollo. Probably going to play the Apollo, and then it's going to trigger Fiethsing. So my second card play this turn. Going to get 2 tokens. I only have 1 Gengar token, so I just put a 2 dice on it to represent 2. Yeah, I only have 3 Gengar tokens, so I'm a little shitter. So we're going to swing with Tama. And this is basically just to bait out Artemis Bows, and there's like no way he actually used the Artemis Bows here, so it's just 200 free damage. Go ahead and put him to 21. Life Steal doesn't update, but he's at 21. And I swing for 500 with my token, because getting the buff from Fiethsing. And Matt Kane, being the venerable player he is, has another space time. So he chooses to space time the Fiethsing to basically kill it, so that once my Fiethsing is dead, my tokens are only 1/1s and not 5/5s, and he takes much less damage. Sorry. Darn again. So yep, double space time. Gonna go ahead and take care of that. Banish Leviathan to give him perishable. We'll be able to crack that back next turn. And yep. And he takes the 100. He has no answer. So his his hand is 4 Melders. He drew both of them off the top from the space time. He's kind of laughing about it. So I have to. So actually, so I attacked first with the Tama, right? So I put him to 21, and then I attacked with the token, and then the token puts him to 2,000. And maybe I should have shot the token with my Tama, or I should have Leviatined the token away before I banished Leviathan to protect my Fiethsing. But he hasn't been setting Melders all game, so I wasn't really too worried about putting him in Melder range. I was more worried about getting his life tool. Like, I didn't want to throw away the token to get him out of Melder range when I'm just going to deactivate Fiethsing next turn anyway, and I really want to have as many tokens as possible because they're all going to be 5/5s. So like that seemed more valuable than that. But it turns out Matt Kane does in fact have a billion Melders, so maybe that was a misplay on my part. But it wasn't something I was reading right. I just didn't expect him to actually have Melders. So he sets 3 Melders, has a Demon Flame in hand, and we're going to see what he can do with that. I'll draw for turn. I'm going to go ahead and tap Deathsight before untaps. And it looks like I drew an Alice's Castling for turn. So my hand is Leviathan, Adambrali, Castling. I don't think there's, I think it's only 4 cards. So we're just going to deactivate. I really don't have anything to do with double Castling and no Captain Hooks. Sorry. 5 mana. Yep. So Fiethsing, she's got a +2 buff, so she's a 10/10. And I know that because Matt only has 1 mana this time, there's no way that he can space time. So that's out of the way, thankfully. Had to fight through 3 of them, but we got there. So I'm going to play the Leviathan that I've had for a couple turns now. Obviously, once I get to like 7 stones, I don't need to pitch it for mana anymore. But I was holding it in case of a second Heavenly Gust. So we're going to attack for 5 with the token. Just try and bait out his Artemis Bows, see what we can do. He's going to flip Melder, target the token. The one that's attacking. He does have a reason on the board, so it's going to deal 800, or make it -8. So I'll attack it to Leviathan to, get that back. Deal an extra 200 damage with my ruler. So he still has 2 Melders down, and those are just going to basically come out and kill every token that I have. But because I have Apollo and Leviathan, I'm able to just buff my ruler up to 2,000, and because of Apollo, he's going to have flying. So I've tapped a Death Scythe and Leviathan twice at this point, making her a 14-10, or essentially a 14-10. She's a 10-10, but she deals 1,400 damage. So I'm going to attack with another one of my tokens. Yep. Just going to eat it again. There was actually a way for him to flip Melders so that I actually missed 2 Leviathan pumps. because like I would tap Leviton, and then I would banish to untap Leviton, and then in response to him in response to me banishing to untap, before that untap actually happens, he can flip his Melders to kill off my tokens. But I still have a Death Scythe engraved, and I've already played Leviton this turn, so when I get Death Scythe back and I play Death Scythe, that represents another 200 damage. It produces 2 more tokens, which produces 400 more damage for the Leviton pump, and I just have enough damage to get to 2,000 easily and win the game. So no, it was a minor misplay, but it didn't end up mattering, and I win the game with Fiethsing. So that's kind of one way to do it, I guess. Obviously, the matchup gets very, very difficult based on how many hooks you do or do not draw. Game 2, I had 2 hooks. The game was over instantly. This game, I only saw 1 captain hook out of all of my massive card draw, and I had to fight tooth and nail to keep Guinevere alive. But once that one Guinevere stuck, like it just drew me enough cards that I was able to come back into the game and get to a point where Fiethsing could be my win condition. So yeah, that's how the matchup went. Just like as an example, for those of you like haven't really seen it that much, and I'm probably going to do some more commentary over the other matchups, specifically Fiethsing mirrors some other Mikage versus Fiethsing matchups. I know Matt Kane played against it a lot on stream and actually won most of his matchups since he's 5-0, obviously, or he was 5-0. So let me know if you're interested. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it.